All right, guys, welcome in to a casual check-in. And the Minnesota Timberwolves have won game one. Anthony Edwards is back. We had a great game one. It was an amazing game. We'll get into that. We're just gonna check in on the Philly Knicks series as well. With that game one going on last night as well too. NBA was kind of weird. Obviously, we already talked about this. How they kind of made both games interlap during that game last night. But we'll we can't do nothing. It's Adam Silver's league. That's how he wants. NBC, they got to pay the bills, so it is what it is at the end of the day. But yeah, Anthony Edwards back after missing 9 days with a hyperextension in his knee. He had a bone bruise. The time frame was week to week is what they released. Shams said 2 to 4 weeks. There are a lot of time frames out there. Anthony Edwards only missed 9 days. He only missed 2 games, obviously, because the series ended in Denver after 6. And he was pushing to play. It was kind of, questionable on whether or not he'd play game 3 or 4, maybe game 5. At best, absolute best, game 2. But this man dropped a video on YouTube, and he said, "Man, I'm getting back out there." So we thought, okay, then we really thought game 2 was possible. He said, nah. Report comes out in the morning yesterday. He's pushing to play game 1. And then a couple hours later, he's playing game 1. Anthony Edwards, Wolverine is his nickname because of how fast he heals and everything. That boy came off the bench today and sent the San Antonio Spurs into panic mode. I thought the Spurs actually played well, but when you have their best player hobbled, and obviously the Wolves were a deep team, but I mean that there's a lot to get into. Let's just dive into. Obviously, 104-102, crazy ending. By the way, we'll get into how the Wolves almost choked that, but Anthony Edwards came off the bench, only played 25 minutes, so I think it was great by Finch, the way he managed it. There were times in the game where I was like, dang, where's Ant, man? The Spurs got a little 5-0, 6-0 run. Get Ant back in the game. Let's get some offense going. But everything the Wolves or the Spurs did, the Wolves had an answer for it. And I think it was a great job by Finch. He had the patience. He didn't want to keep throwing them in just whenever he needed them. He said, all right, I'm going to trust the rest of the guys. We're going to play, and then we'll figure it out from there without Ant, and we'll only use Ant when needed. So thought they did a great job there with Finch, and then obviously Terrence Shannon Jr. Did a great job. Now, Wemby had a great defensive game, which is, I believe, was skewed by some help a little bit. But, yeah, Anthony Edwards, great game, and then great game from the starters as well. I mean, Randall played a great game in the fourth. He kind of helped you close out the game in that fourth quarter. Obviously, Rudy Gobert, offensively, he's never going to give you much. He kind of had a bad offensive game because of however many shots he took. I think he took, let me see. Rudy Gobert took 7 shots, which is normally okay if they're all dunks and dunks and putbacks, layups, which they mainly were. I think he had 1 push shot, but I think they did a great job. They missed a couple fouls on that, but I like that Rudy was attacking at least somewhat. I mean, there was a long stretch of the game. I mean, Rudy played 30 minutes, but there was a long stretch of the game, especially in that closing the third quarter into the fourth quarter. Most of the fourth quarter, Rudy didn't play. And I thought Finch did a great job riding with Nas and Randall. They were playing great. Randall played 42 minutes almost, and Nas played 30 minutes as well, too. I think he did a great job managing most of it, most of the lineup. I think Bones had a little bit up and down, but Finch kept trusting him. He didn't score at all. It's at least he put his guys out there, try to get a spark. We'll see how that goes the rest of the series. Yeah, Ant, 18 points off the bench, 8 for 13. And he obviously only had 1 turnover. You can see on defense, he was a little bit slow. Towards the end of the game, he left Champagne open for 2 offensive rebounds, maybe 3. and it kind of cost Minnesota the lead, which made it such a close game at the end. But it's all good now. He always acknowledges stuff like that, which he did in the post game interview. So we'll probably see better from Ant going into the game too. But yeah, let's get into Wemby, man. Wemby had a great game. I mean, he had 12 blocks. Now, the truth of the matter is, all 12 of those weren't blocks. The second block of the game that he had was literally a clear as day goaltend. Now, I understand the refs. It's hard if you're a ref because you got this 7'6" alien who's blocking everything. He's contesting everything. He's trying to swat anything. And you don't want to blow the whistle and call everything a goaltend when, he's just, you want to reward the effort and everything. But when you got obvious goaltends like that and nobody's blowing the whistle, if you got 12 blocks, I'm not going to lie, I expect you to get called for goaltend at least once or twice, just based off the aggression. The fact that they didn't call not a single goaltend on Wembanyama was terrible. He got away with a couple fouls as well too, which obviously that's just how it is. Playoffs, everybody gets fouled here and there. So I'm not going to harp too much on that. But the goaltend was egregious. I think he got away with 3, maybe 4 goaltends. So that was a little bit ugly. I didn't want to see that. But on the offensive end, I mean, Wemby was a non-factor. I mean, Julius Randle did a great job pushing him up. That's the thing with Wemby. If you're physical with him, you get into him, you get into his small frame. He can't do much. Like it's just not much he can do. And he gets fatigued really fast, especially if you're being physical with him. He just exerts so much energy trying to block shots. And I think if he's exerting that much energy trying to block shots, then on the offensive side, especially if you're getting into him a good bit, it's just he's gonna be tired. He's gonna be tired. So I think Wemby's got to learn that, man. You can't try to block every shot. I think that's what makes Rudy such an amazing defender. And we kind of see it with Baron J right now as a rookie. As Wolves fans know, he tries to block everything. And that's just, as a big man, you don't want to block everything because then you're giving up offensive rebounds. You're giving up put back dunk, stuff like that. Or even just, you're susceptible to the kick out or stuff like that. I do think offensively he did have a terrible game. He was 0 for 8 from 3. He had a triple-double with blocks, which obviously is not that surprising for Wembanyama. But he only had 11 points on 5 for 17 shooting and 1 free throw. So he really didn't affect the game from 3 on the perimeter, and that's what you want. Gobert does. He wants you to beat him in other ways. He's not going to let you get him. He's not going to let you beat him from 2. Even though I think Randall was the best defender on Wembanyama this game, Gobert definitely played a great defensive game, and so did Jaden McDaniels when he got switched. I think everybody, whenever they got switched onto him, just did a good job getting under him, making him work, making him sweat, and exert a lot of energy on the offensive side. But overall, surprisingly, I mean, I think the Spurs guys played pretty well. Dylan Harper played great. Sale was pretty good. Let me see. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox was whenever, and that's kind of thing what Minnesota does. I mean, they're going to take away your 2 best players, and they're going to make your other guys, have to make some big shots, which, credit to most of the Spurs guys. They played pretty well. I think Stephon Castle had a okay game. I think he made 3 threes, 3 out of 5 threes. So, if you'll take that every day of the week if you're San Antonio, but he just didn't capitalize on it. I think he got it away with obviously he fouled out, obviously, but I think going to the basket, he kind of wasn't as effective as he normally is. And that's credit to Minnesota. Obviously, he did have, how many free throws did he have? He had 8 free throws. Some of them, he got away with, but, I think they played great. I mean, without Wemby on the court, the Wolves went straight to the rim on Cornet. Terrence Shannon that's what he does. And credit to Finch keeping Shannon in the rotation. I hope to see, even when Ayo comes back, Shannon in rotation. Honestly, if I'm being honest, Ayo's probably gonna take Bones' minutes. Bones probably not gonna get much run this series because Mike Conley was amazing, boy. Hey, I'm a Mike. I love Mike Conley, especially what he brung the past couple years in Minnesota. This season, I was like, all right, guys, let's not fall in love playing Mike Conley 20 minutes. I mean, you can kind of see that during the season, which it is the regular season. You know, a lot of things, don't really matter. I think even the Wolves and Chris Finch acknowledged that in press conference, which you know the NBA probably didn't want to hear. But yeah, I mean, obviously he got traded twice, and then obviously he got bought out, and then he joined the team, which we expected. Um, but during the season, Mike Conley was not really effective. But obviously he's a vet. He stepped up. He knows where to be. He calms the offense down, and he hits big shots. When Mike Conley's hitting threes, open looks just above the break in the corner, then the Wolves are basically unstoppable, honestly. Um, I think what else? Let's see. I mean, I don't think there's anything else that stood out from this game besides, San Antonio is gonna have to make a little bit more shots. Because Minnesota's defense is incredible. You're going to get, great defense from San Antonio as well too. But Minnesota has the shot makers, and San Antonio doesn't. Because when it comes down to, the game was low scoring. The whole, half. The whole game was low scoring. The whole game was low scoring. But yeah, whenever it came down to it, Anthony Edwards had 11 in the fourth. Obviously, he probably could have had more if he touched the ball more. But I think it's going to come down to that fourth quarter. The Spurs had a little bit of a run. Anthony Edwards had that turnover where he should have just lobbed it to Julius Randle. Try to just make a perfect pass. I don't know why, but Vassell ended up tipping it. Harper gets to the rim on a wide open dunk, and it's only a 2-point game. And then obviously Randle gets the ball, posts up, faces up, shoots a contested long two, doesn't go. And then the Spurs don't call timeout, which I thought was a great idea at the time. Well, in the moment, obviously, watching the game, I think, just knowing how young the Spurs are, you want them to call a timeout to kind of get Mitch Johnson to kind of get the guys ready. But, it ended up working out great. They got the best look they could possibly get. Dylan Harper goes, collapses defense a little bit, gives it to Champagnie. Champagnie pump fakes, gets Naz Reid in the air, sidestep, wide open three. And let me tell you, as a Wolves fan, brother, I'm over there just looking like no way we're about to lose that game. That ball was up there, and I'm just like, oh my God, my heart was in my ass. And then it hits the side of the rim, and I'm like, "Whoo, boy!" You could see even the Wolves guys as the ball didn't go in. See, Julius Randle's like, "Oh my gosh, ain't no way." Anthony Edwards was kind of like, "Yo, what just happened? We almost lost this game." But it is what it is. You won the game. They stole one in San Antonio. Game one, obviously, Anthony Edwards is back with no Ayo DeSumo. So, the Wolves are getting reinforcements. So the Spurs are going to have to kind of figure out a way to slow down the Wolves whenever they need to get a stop. I feel like that's one thing the Wolves can count on and makes them the better team in this series, because when they need to get a stop, they'll be able to get a stop. And for the most part, when they need to get a bucket, they got a guy or two that can get a bucket. The Spurs just didn't have that today. Maybe it's just De'Aaron Fox just, wasn't at his best, obviously, but that's what Jaden McDaniels does. And then, Wemby had a bad offensive game as well, too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. We'll see. Carter Bryant obviously didn't play. We'll see if he gets more minutes this season, or excuse me, this series, because of the Randle matchup, because they don't really have anybody for Randle. But yeah, I think overall it was a great game by Minnesota. I think all the guys played fairly well. Even Jalen Clark when he got out there in some minutes. Thought it was really good. Game 2 is Wednesday. We don't have that interlapping time slot, so we'll be able to watch both games. Well, all of both games. We'll have it to multi-view or whatever. So, but yeah, see, I'm a Wolves fan. We're always the underdog. I think we were minus 3,000 coming into the series for some reason, and then it came before tip off. We were Spurs were minus 1,200 to win the series. And now, obviously, we're still the dogs. We're plus 150 to win. Spurs are minus 196. So, yeah, we'll see. I think it's no reason to panic if you're San Antonio, but they got a lot of cleaning up to do. I think Minnesota, you did a good job. Uh, you just manage, the guys. If you lose another close game, then it's fine. You go into Minnesota, that place is gonna be loud. And you take advantage of that, and you go win the series. Then you go take control of it. So Minnesota has stole home court advantage, and we'll see what happens in game two. Obviously, the first game that happened last night was the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers, and boy, that game was over by halftime. So, yeah, just I don't know what happened with the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know what you do here. Obviously, let's start with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson was incredible. And we kind of saw this when they played 2 years ago when DiVincenzo was on the Knicks. We had a great series from Philly and New York. Was hoping we'd get a lot closer series, but Brunson was amazing in that series. But now, boy, I thought they'd be able to slow him down a little bit more than they could. Um, and maybe some of the foul issues and stuff, we'll get into that, contributed. But, I mean, he was great. He was efficient, 12 for 18, obviously 50% from 3, 3 for 6. And then, obviously, he's got to the free throw line 8 times. So, um, I mean, I'll be honest, he had 27 and a half, and he finished up with 35. So, I mean, if you're Philly, they just kind of lost that game in that second quarter, where they couldn't get shots to go in. They weren't really, they didn't have much resistance defensively, to what the Sixers were doing, honestly, or excuse me, to what the Knicks were doing. And you just can't have that, especially in the Garden. That crowd starts to get going. They I mean, Embiid looked slow, honestly. I thought they would be able to slow the game down. If you're going to play I mean, even though Philly has some fast players that can play in transition, you got obviously Oubre, Edgecombe, and Maxey that can get out and run, even Paul George from time to time. But I thought they were really going to be able to settle down, slow the game down, take advantage of Embiid against Cat, which looked okay in the first quarter. Obviously, Cat got in foul trouble, which we expected this series, if I'm being honest with you, as a guy who watched Cat for, 8, 9 years of his career in Minnesota. He's guaranteed to get in foul trouble, especially against guys like Joel Embiid. And they took him out the game, and it kind of worked to, you know, New York's advantage. I mean, they took advantage of, obviously, um, getting better defense on Embiid with Mitchell Robinson. Um, but I mean, the biggest thing, the Sixers couldn't buy a bucket, and the Knicks couldn't miss. I think they were up at one point 40. I think it got to 39. I think the 39 was maybe the highest lead. Um, but yeah, it was just, if you're Philly, I mean, obviously it's one game. You just came off of game 7, so it happens. You'd rather lose that first game. You still have a chance to steal home court up in game 2. So no reason to panic if you're Philly. But that was just a terrible outing. You never want that to happen. I wanted to see better tempo for Philly. We weren't able to see that, but it is what it is. I think game 2, you go into game 2, you'll figure it out. You got more time to game plan, more time to rest up a little bit, and just figure out what worked from that. I thought Paul George played pretty well. Honestly, that's one thing I liked from the game. I think he's been playing pretty solid defense, and obviously, he scored. I think he was their leading scorer today, wasn't he? Yeah, he had 17. Everybody else, nobody had more than 14. Yeah, I think you just gotta play into your strengths a little bit more, slow the game down, take advantage of New York, especially if Cat's gonna be in foul trouble. I mean, you gotta slow the game down. Some of the calls were some of the calls were um, questionable when it comes to Jalen Brunson. That little when they're grazing him, like it's it's just defense, just normal defense, and he gets the foul call. So I do want to see some of that change. I think if the refs start to let Philly be a little more physical, just let it be a physical series like we saw up in San Antonio. Let them be a little bit more physical. New York's got some physical guys that they have as well too. So let it be a little bit uglier series. And I think that'll play into Philly's advantage, but we'll see what happens in game two. Game two is Wednesday as well. So it'll be interesting. Tonight we got obviously OKC and the Lakers, which I mean, honestly, I think that game will be over pretty quickly. I think that game will be over by the second quarter. So if you have dinner plans, go ahead and don't even cancel them. Just get to it. It's not going to be a problem. And then obviously the Cavs and the Pistons. That's an interesting game. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but I want to see how that series goes because initially I think my prediction was Detroit in 5. I still think Detroit wins that series, but I'm not sure right now. I think after diving into it a little bit, I mean, if you get the same Jalen Duren that you got against Orlando, I think it'll get pretty ugly for Detroit. But I think Detroit's got the better defense, obviously. But like I said, it comes down to bucket getting. If they can get somebody else to get some buckets against that Cavs defense, besides Cade Cunningham, and obviously Tobias Harris from time to time, they should be good. I think it'll play to advantage. Obviously, they're the more physical team. If they can muck it up a little bit and get it to slow down, I think they'll be just fine. But tonight, I think Detroit. They both coming off Game 7. I think Detroit's got the home court advantage. So I think Detroit will probably take tonight. We'll see. See if we can get a little recap later. But yeah, appreciate you guys. That's it.